Hey everyone, it's Jessica here with a Garden Fresh layout today. So I'm going to be using some fancy foils by Gina K and some of the transfer flock sheets. So I'm participating in a scrap lift this time. So I have a beautiful layout here by my friend Wendy there on the screen, and I'm lifting that layout today to participate in one of the paper issues challenges, but I thought it would just be perfect for this garden layout today. So I am cutting some of this it's kind of like a wavy paper. I've just cut it into some strips, and I've distressed the edges of each of those strips and then glued them back together using my tape runner, and then I'm just distressing the whole way around just to rough them up a bit because I really liked the wavy green paper. I just wanted it to be a little bit more distressed and make it look like layers. So that's all I'm doing with that part of that. And then here I've got some garden tools that I've already cut on my electronic cutting machine. This is a Cutfile by Pear Tree, and I've just cut some little garden tools out. I just think they're super cute and sweet. I'm going to use those on this layout by pulling out some of the black toner card fronts. These are just the blank toner card fronts. It has toner on them, so when you run it through a hot laminating machine with some of our foil sheets on top, it will transfer them into this beautiful foil design. So I am just trimming out the little backing pieces here of the toner sheets, and I just got it all kind of smudged up with my fingers, so I was just wiping that off a little bit. I'm trying to make the most out of this one toner sheet, but I couldn't make it work with just one, so I did have to grab a second sheet, but no worries. I'm going to save that for a future project because I do a lot of smaller things, so I'm just going to put that back in the packaging and use it for something else later. So I am just tracing around my cut file here on the negative piece. Sometimes I do this on my Cricut and have it do all the work for me using the contour feature, but it's such a small piece and the lines were fairly straight and easy to cut. I figured I'd just cut them out with my scissors. So I'm just going to trim these down using my scissors, and I am cutting on the inside of my pencil outline, and it was still a little bit too big in a couple places, so I end up trimming it down a little bit more after I actually go to adhere them all together. But for now, that at least gives me a nice base for the backing pieces of my cut file. And I'm pulling out the blue shade of flock here. I think this is the sky blue. I think that's what the technical name is, but I'm pulling out that. It's one of my favorite shades of this fuzzy paper. They're actually called Plush papers now. They repackaged them, renamed them, and call them Plush papers now, but I'm kind of still stuck on my old ways and call it the fuzzy flock sheets. But either way, that's what I'm going to use for my little tools on the bottom portions of them for the handles. I'm going to use this really light blue shade. It's really, really pretty. It's one of my favorite colors in this, and I'm excited to pull it out for these little tools. I have my craft and carrier sheet here that I've cut down to fit into my fuse laminating system because it only does up to, I believe, 6 or 6.5 inches. So I've cut one of my craft and carrier sheets down a little bit to fit inside my machine, and then I am placing my toner side up and then my foil on top using the pretty side towards me. So I'm sandwiching all that together, and then I'm going to run that through my laminating machine here in a second. I don't know why. Oh, I guess I was waiting for it to heat up. I was going to say, I don't know why it's not running through while I'm gluing these down, but it's because I was still waiting for it to heat up. It doesn't take long to heat up. I love this machine for these smaller projects. It's pretty quick. As you can see here, this video is sped up a little bit, but it's not sped up a whole lot, and it does run through pretty quick, so you don't have a lot of time just kind of sitting and waiting. So there they already came out. I've got the bottom pieces attached already with those plush papers using that Ultra Bond liquid adhesive, which is going to dry clear. I don't have to worry about that if I make a mess with it. And I'm just adhering my beautiful foiled pieces on the backs there. You can see in the light how many different colors come up in that. I wanted this to look kind of like a garden tool, like a metal garden tool. So that's why I chose the silver, but in the light it pulls all those other beautiful colors. So I just thought it would be really pretty and just kind of make it look like metal. So I did make mine a little bit bigger than I needed to. I didn't do the best job at tracing and trimming down, so I just had to trim it out a little bit more with my scissors, but this one turned out pretty good. I just have to do a little trimming at the tip. So I'm just trimming that little excess off, and again using my Ultra Bond liquid adhesive. I'm going to go ahead and turn my laminator off at this point because I'm pretty much done with that, and I'm not going to need it for any other part of this layout. So I'll go ahead and let that cool down. while I finish up my cute little garden tools. So there they are. I just love them. They're going to go perfect on this layout right about here. So Wendy's layout had some strips at the top and then some embellishing towards the bottom and a title at the very bottom and some twine. So I'm going to follow her design very closely. I'm just pulling out some easy tear tape to adhere this section onto my white cardstock, and the easy tear tape, I do like to use this 1/2 inch size, and then I'm just using tweezers to peel the backing off. I have nails on, so my nails are a little bit too thick to be able to pull these backing pieces off easily. So if you don't have nails, it's really easy to pull that backing off. So don't let me fool you by my videos and using tweezers to pull them off. It's pretty simple if you don't have nails on, special nails on. So I'm just pulling out a piece of scrap white paper here. You can see that I've used it for some mixed media. I had some alcohol inks I was playing around with, and this was sitting underneath that, so I got a little spillage there on this, but I didn't want to waste that piece of paper, so I'm using it to back my photos. So I've got my 3 photos here of my little guy hauling cabbage from the garden to the back of my car, and this was the biggest cabbage that I have ever seen. We grew it in our garden at our farm, and it just got tremendously huge that year, and it hasn't been that great since then, but we were very, very blessed that year and made so much sauerkraut, which we love. We can it all, give some away to family and then keep some for ourselves. So it was a really, really big blessing to have all that cabbage, and it was just huge. So my son, actually both my boys, really, really loved helping us harvest everything in the garden and seeing everything kind of come together at the end and being able to eat everything. So Wendy's layout had some clouds on it. I think it was actually an original sketch by Janessa from the Paper Issues group, but her sketch had some clouds on it. So that's Wendy kind of followed that closely in her design as well. Oh, I'm stumbling today. And I wanted to incorporate some clouds on my design as well. So I'm just going to pop a few down there. These are from the Full Bloom collection by Simple Stories. I have quite a bit of this collection left, so I decided to pull that out today, along with some other Simple Stories collections as well. So I'm going to be doing some collection mixing again. I know, big surprise. I'm usually mixing collections. Here's the Homegrown collection there by Simple Stories. I'm just using that one wordy bit. So that's literally, I think, the only thing I'm using from that collection, but it just was perfect. It says in the garden, so I wanted to put that little paper strip there. And then I'm going to add a couple things from this other homey type collection by Simple Stories, and I'll add some bits from this little sticker book and embellish the top of my photo here. I'm going to add my date stamp to one of the clouds up top. I'm going to add a couple things to the top of my layout, and I'm just going to glue this cloud down with my Ultra Bond glue. Again, this one's chipboard, so it does have a backing piece and it is sticky, but I'm reinforcing it with that Ultra Bond glue just so that I can make sure it's going to stay there over time. I don't have to worry about it falling out of my books 5 years down the road when someone's looking at my book, and I know that it's going to stick really well with that glue. I'm just using some of the 3D foam squares here in a minute to pop up some embellishments, and I'm going to pop up that little watering can. I'm going to adhere my title down here, and I'm going to add some of these cute little bees, but I want to pop them up with some 3D foam squares as well. I like the G&K ones because the backings are really super easy to pull off, and they come in 2 different sizes, the 1/4 inch and the 1/2 inch size, and I use both on this layout. So I do recommend both sizes because there are always the little things, and if you don't like cutting the big ones apart to use them, then the little size comes in handy. So I'm using both today. I've got my watering can down now with that 3D foam square, and I'm just continuing to pop down my little clouds here. And I'm just going to add some sequins after I get all of these little bits down. And for these little flares, these are by Paratree as well. It came in like a garden project pack. And I'm going to adhere those down using some of the medium-sized glue dots. I like to create what's called a glue dot sandwich, and I put one glue dot on the back of the flare, and then I put some thread in there, all kind of twirled up, and then I put another glue dot to actually adhere it down to the page. So you'll see me do that here in a moment. Here's just one of the adhesive brads from this Bloom set here that I have. It's already has adhesive on the back, so I don't have to add anything to that one. It's pretty sticky. And here's that thread and my little glue dot sandwich I was talking about coming in here. I'm going to do this to both of my flares to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of color as well. This is really kind of a monochromatic layout if I look at this. It's got some blue and green, but I put those into the same color family, blues and greens anyways. So to me, this kind of looks like a little bit of a monochromatic layout, and that's kind of my jam lately. And I do love monochrome layouts so much. I just love how uniform they come out, and they're just beautiful. But I didn't originally plan that in the beginning. I've got my twine here now that I've pulled out. This is going to be one of the finishing touches here on my layout, other than my sequins. Wendy's layout had some twine here that was at the bottom, and it just looked gorgeous. I loved how it looked. So I'm going to do the same thing with some baker's twine. It's another green shade to go with all the green in my layout. So I'm just using 3 strands. I'm taping them behind. You could wrap these the whole way around your layout if you wanted, or your card, whatever you're working on. But I'm just cutting them and taping them just to save some twine. Why? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I have a lifetime supply of all the colors of twine, but you know what? I still try to preserve because I got kids. So I'm fairly positive that at some point they're going to have more school projects coming up, and they're going to have different things that they want to do and work on, and they're going to be stealing my things. So I learned to preserve. I've got my sequins here. These are actually by Not Just for Boys Kit Club, so I'm just going to pull in a few of those just to scatter around my layout. Nothing crazy fancy, but I just really felt like it still needed a little something, so I'm just adding these little pops of color all around the layout. I'll speed this up here for you. So here is the finished layout. If you guys have any questions for me, please feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer. And I will link everything down below in the description. Please use the links. You can click on those. It'll take you directly to that product. So if you want to do some shopping, I'll put everything down there for you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.